Hello everyone, Mr. Ugly Donkey here. Left 4 Dead 2 is a walking simulator. Now, don't get me wrong, some of my favorite games are walking simulators. If you haven't played it, a good one I would recommend is Team Fortress 2. There's no strategy or puzzles or challenging gameplay mechanics. You just walk forwards and experience the story. For fans of Left 4 Dead 2, this may come as a sort of insult. How dare you belittle my beloved game by calling it a walking simulator? There's so much more to it than that, to which I say, what? What more is there to Left 4 Dead 2 besides walking forwards interspersed with the occasional shooting straight ahead? To illustrate my point, I'd like to hand it over to Mr. 8.8 million views, Grubcat himself. You've probably seen this video and you're recommended, if not watched the entire thing. If you're a Left 4 Dead 2 fan, you may have even laughed along. I'd like to give my quick breakdown and analysis of this video in terms of my position. Let's look at all the things this video addresses. After a quick intro, the video compares the games in terms of bot AI and gives examples as to why Left 4 Dead 2's is better. Next, we dive into an entire 7-minute long segment about how zombies are animated and how they fall down. After that, it talks a bit about having a destructible environment and being able to smash TVs and chairs. And then we quickly talk about a stupid fucking flashlight, a useless fuck-ass, useless fucking flashlight, the stupid fucking flashlight, I hate the fucking flashlight. And then into audio and music cues. And then we spent an entire minute talking about the tank, a useless enemy from Left 4 Dead 2. Before we again then dive into a 2.5-minute segment on facial expressions alone. We then briefly talk about on how the characters of both games were developed and how Left 4 Dead 2's is better somehow. We briefly hit on the Versus campaign and we throw a party about chocolate helicopters in the modding scene. And we end on a From the Creators of Left 4 Dead segment. You can go ahead and watch the original video for yourself. I've left timestamps for you to fact check me on all this, but for now, let's assume this is all correct. Now, let's remove everything that doesn't affect gameplay. Immediately, the video goes from 26 minutes and 16 seconds all the way to 6 minutes and 56 seconds. Now, you may say, but Mr. Ugly Donkey, I love all that immersion. It makes it feel like a movie. To which I say, yes, that's my point. The creators of Left 4 Dead 2 really put most of their efforts into making the game a cinematic experience rather than making it a fun experience. The amount of effort put into zombie fall animations and character facial expressions that you'll probably never even see just goes to show Left 4 Dead 2 is a movie where you control the camera. Now let's talk about gameplay. Going back to our new truncated Grubcat video, let's remove everything the video claims Poker Night at the inventory doesn't have, but which it actually does. Yeah, you've got a lazy comparison between two honestly very different specials and Versus campaign. Granted, Poker Night at the inventory does not, in fact, have a Versus campaign, and Poker is, well, not a replacement, but allow me to address the 3 complaints that I've removed here. First, we have bot AI. Poker Night at the Inventory's bot AI has historically suffered as the game has a very high skill ceiling. Trying to emulate a player is near impossible. For example, one complaint that the Poker Night at the Inventory community had was that you have to grind for all the unlockable tables and cards. That's an issue for sure, but it's not an issue that Left 4 Dead 2 ever had to deal with. Their solution was to have no unlockables. I fail to see how the solution to a slightly unbalanced mechanic is not attempting it at all. Left 4 Dead 2 fans like to call the system that controls the enemy AI the capital G, capital D game director, as if any other system can't level up just because you gave this one a special name, but I digress. Poker Night at the Inventory has its own director in the form of the cards. Left 4 Dead 2 fans like to claim that their game director can sense how well you're doing and send you more or fewer zombies depending on progress. If you're struggling, it'll calm the horde, and if you're doing too well, it'll send you more. Poker Night at the Inventory doesn't have this adaptive game director, and that's a good thing. If I can't beat the game on the difficulty I set it to, then I want to know at least that the next time I play, I'll have learned and gotten better, until finally I can beat it. And when I do finally get there, I want to know that my hard work paid off, and I can reach the top of that mountain. This is only possible if difficulty is standardized. If hard mode actually scales back down to easy mode, and easy mode actually scales up to hard mode, then are there really any difficulty settings at all? Do I really get a choice of what difficulty to play, or is it all an illusion? Ultimately, Poker Night at the Inventory's game director will actually listen to your preferred difficulty. It will vary gameplay between what cards are dealt, what cards are dealt, what cards are dealt, and etc., but it won't tell you how to play. You are in control of the game. In Left 4 Dead 2, the game controls you, and that's because you're not a player, you're a viewer. Next, let's address the flashlights issue. It's true that in Poker Night at the inventory is well lit up with plenty of lights that don't change. Although, as a player, I can't imagine that it would be fun not being able to see just because the power went out. So, once again, points to Poker Night at the inventory for ignoring realism where it counts. And because for some reason this was important, the lights do cast shadows, and I don't think there's an option to turn it off, because it looks so good in the original Telltale Tool Engine Foundation, is so much more pristine than the grunge of Source that it might cook your computer. Lastly, there's a strange focus on the audio cues for some reason, but while we don't always get the movie-like piano notes of Left 4 Dead 2, Poker Night at the inventory does have a more realistic chit-chat at the table and cards being dealt and chips falling on the table, something you'd learn from actually playing the game.
I'm gonna check.
Check it out.
Check.
Check City, USA. All right, I raise.
Oh, is that right? Is it now? Well, re-raise.
What is this? What is flop? Fui!
Given that only a small portion of the Crowcat video was actually dedicated to meaningful gameplay differences, the remaining almost 2 minutes, let's talk about those, shall we? Left 4 Dead 2 has 8 specials: the Witch, the Tank, the Boomer, the Charger, the Hunter, the Smoker, the Jockey, and the Spitter. Immediately you can try to make connections between some of these as the original video did, but let's take a look at all of Poker Night at the Inventory's hands. We have the Royal Flush, the Straight Flush, the 4 of a Kind, the Full House, the Flush, the Straight, the 3 of a Kind, the 2 pair, the 1 pair, and the High card. That leaves us with 10 hands, with each having values. The depth here is incredible, and Left 4 Dead 2 doesn't hold a candle to it. Somewhat related, Left 4 Dead 2 has 33 different weapons. That's a sizable amount, and I commend it for its variety, but Poker Night at the Inventory has 52 cards, and on top of that, each card has different suits. Starting from clubs to hearts to diamonds to spades gives most cards pretty colors, as well as it diversifies your hands. Let's imagine a scenario. You have a card, and you find another one on the river. You have to think about what to do. Same happens in Left 4 Dead 2. You have 2 things to think about. First, do I want to use this gun? Maybe you prefer blowing heads with a shotgun and would prefer not to spray an Uzi. Next, what's the damage output? Well, you have to actually go to an external source to find that out. Now, say this happens in Poker Night at the Inventory. There are many things to think about. 1. Does this card work with my deck? Some hands are better with certain cards. 2. Do I want to check or call? I could be putting myself in risk into playing along. 3. Do I want to bet or raise? Maybe I want to bluff and take more of the player's chips. 4. Do I want to fold? Giving up is easy in life. Never mind the fact that if you're playing Poker Night at the Inventory, you can always just ignore all this and go all in the same way you would in Left 4 Dead 2. I've mentioned cards a bit. Left 4 Dead 2 players may not even know what those are. Before each run, you are given cards. Some cards give you winning odds against players. Poker Night at the Inventory puts a lot of time and effort into making the gameplay satisfying. Everything involves strategy and quick thinking. I never want to get caught out of position in case my bet is called. I'm always checking my cards for explosives. Neither of these are present in Left 4 Dead 2 because in Left 4 Dead 2, the creators wanted to make a movie. You play the movie Left 4 Dead 2. Every playthrough is the same, and every player has the same experience as any other. You won't go to a movie theater and see the Pittsburgh special edition of Spider-Man Brand New Day. There's just the movie, and you can watch it. You can even watch it twice or 3 times, but it's still the same movie. In Poker Night at the Inventory, you can play the same game as a folder or a caller, as a bluffer or a dumbass. It's honestly a travesty. The only thing I can admit that Left 4 Dead 2 has that I wish Poker Night at the Inventory did is versus campaign. No matter how many more playstyles and hands Poker Night at the Inventory has over Left 4 Dead 2, none of those playstyles is any of those special mutations. For my final point, Poker Night at the Inventory does have a story, and even individual character backstories, which is even more impressive given it has 4 characters, each with their own playstyle compared to Left 4 Dead 2's 4 identical characters. The Crubcat video does a great job of playing up the role of story in the development of Left 4 Dead 1, but makes no mention of Left 4 Dead 2. Why is that? Well, having played Left 4 Dead 2, it's because there is none. You play as 4 people who just happen to live next to each other and need to be rescued. That's about it. There's no story goals beyond the occasional, "Hey, get me my beer," and I never really felt like I saw into the personality of any of the characters. On the contrary, there are a multitude of storylines in Poker Night at the Inventory going on at the same time. Max is a freelance police officer married to a dog. Heavy saw a bird die once. Strong Bad is there. Tycho is a zoophile. The backstory about the players that you can find in any given playthrough goes pretty deep. But, you'd actually have to play the game to know that. Finally, here's a rapid-fire list of complaints I had while playing Left 4 Dead 2. Where do I start? And why are there so many levels? Oh, wait, it's because there are 3 different storylines. And actually, technically, the second storyline comes before the first storyline, and the third storyline isn't even canon. Select a character. Well, actually, it doesn't matter who you pick. They all do the same thing, which is nothing. Taking damage completely disorients your reticle. What the hell is even happening to me right now? For all the talk of zombie animations, I feel like I never know if they're actually dead. Anyway, those are my opinions on Left 4 Dead 2. I think going into it expecting it to be a game like Poker Night at the Inventory was a mistake. I personally didn't have fun, but it doesn't matter because it's just a movie. I didn't want to watch a movie though, I wanted to play a game, and I don't really feel like I did. But that's it for me. I'm sure I don't have to tell you to leave a comment below because you probably already did, and that's assuming you even made it this far. In any case, this has been Mr. Ugly Donkey, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a good one, everybody.